Hello and welcome. What follows is a brief look at the new features and functionality introduced in version 19.1 of Micro Focus Fortify software products. In this release, Static Code Analyzer introduces several language support features and enhanced performance. Static Code Analyzer now supports scanning of Angular 7 application. It also supports scanning of Java 10 and Java 11 applications. Support for Python includes Python 3.7 and Django 2. Improved performance in scanning Python applications was also introduced in this release. Fortify Static Code Analyzer version 19.1 includes support for TypeScript 3, 3.1, and 3.2. Performance in higher-order analysis of TypeScript applications is now improved, and higher-order analysis is now enabled by default for JavaScript and TypeScript applications. Finally, Static Code Analyzer now supports the ECMA Script 2018 script language specification. Static Code Analyzer build tool support now includes support for Gradle 4. This version of Static Code Analyzer tools includes enhancements to the Fortify Jenkins plugin. The Fortify Jenkins plugin now has both declarative and scripted pipeline support for Fortify Static Code Analyzer analysis, security content updates, and uploads to Fortify Software Security Center. And now you can use the snippet generator to generate the pipeline code required to add a Fortify task to a pipeline script. Now let's take a look at what's new in Fortify WebInspect 19.1. Fortify WebInspect includes a technical preview of our updated Web Macro Recorder tool. This new version supports modern frameworks. You can access it from the basic scan wizard in Fortify WebInspect. To use the updated version of the Web Macro Recorder tool, you must first configure an application setting. To use the new Web Macro Recorder, from the Edit menu, select Application Settings. On the General tab of the Application Settings window, select Firefox 59 from the default Web Macro Recorder list. After you launch the new Web Macro Recorder from the basic scan wizard, you have access to a complete help system from within the tool should you have questions about any of its features. Failure of a login macro to log into an application results in a poor quality scan. If the login macro quality is measured before the scan, then low quality scans can be avoided. Fortify WebInspect can now test login macros before scanning. This macro validation feature is enabled by default and is available in scans conducted through the user interface, the API, and the command line interface. You can disable and re-enable a macro validation from the Authentication tab in Scan Settings. Fortify WebInspect can now automatically create a login macro using just a URL, username, and password. This feature is available in the user interface, API, and command line interface. Here you can see the option as it appears in the basic scan wizard. You can still record a macro manually using the Login Macro Recorder tool. For more information about this feature, see the Fortify WebInspect user guide or online help. The multi-user login scan feature was introduced in version 18.20. For this release, we've simplified the process for configuring and conducting multi-user login scans. You no longer have to hand-edit the macro XML file to create multiple threads in the macro. This is now done through the scan settings in the user interface. You can now add multiple user credentials in either the basic scan wizard or the guided scan wizard. Here you can see the option as it appears in the basic scan wizard. For complete details about this feature, see the Fortify WebInspect user guide or online help. Our new Scan Data API endpoint provides a wealth of detail around scan statistics as well as simplified querying of vulnerability information. For more information, see the Swagger documentation. Our WeSwag tool can now consume definitions built in the OpenAPI 3.0 specification. The new AB parameter enables the WeSwag tool to handle bearer tokens for improved authentication support. For more information about this feature, see the Fortify WebInspect user guide or online help. We've improved scanning performance for applications with very wide directory structures. To tune this behavior, look for the Limit Maximum Directory Hit Count setting and the Maximum Folder Depth setting on the General tab in Scan Settings. In our previous release, we introduced support for WebSockets. In this release, we've added visualization of session frames and vulnerability categories. To reduce noise and improve issue tracking, we're now correlating server-level checks at the host. To modify this behavior, look for the Flag at Host setting under the Individual Check in Policy Manager. We've also improved our blind SQL injection algorithms to find more true vulnerabilities and fewer false positives. The scan and application setting forms now scale correctly on high-resolution monitors. WebInspect can now be deployed for API and CLI-driven scanning by way of a Docker container. It's currently intended for customers with concurrent use licenses. You can find information about setting up Docker, getting the Fortify WebInspect image, configuring the environment file, and running the container in the Fortify WebInspect on Docker user guide. Fortify WebInspect Enterprise 19.1 includes new API endpoints. The post-Smart Update endpoint starts the Smart Update process to download the latest secure-based changes and sensor versions. The Get Smart Update ID Details endpoint gets the details for a specific Smart Update occurrence and returns a list of the secure-based changes. The Get Smart Update ID endpoint gets the status for a specific Smart Update occurrence. The Get Smart Update endpoint gets a list of all Smart Update occurrences. The Fortify Software Security Center 19.1 user interface includes usability improvements. You no longer have to select a separate tab to enter and view audit comments for an issue. Now you can add and view comments directly from the Audit tab. You can also view history details from the adjacent History tab in the Issue Details section. ROPAC content is now divided into separate sections. Details, recommendations, metadata, and references are now displayed on the Info tab in the Issue Details section of the Audit page. Version selection in Software Security Center has been simplified. The new selector has a 3-column design that can accommodate thousands of application versions. Fortify Cloud Scan version 19.1 also introduces new functionality. Fortify Cloud Scan now ships with a utility that packages source code, dependencies, and Static Code Analyzer translation instructions. This means that if you're scanning Java, JavaScript, Ruby, Python, or PHP, you no longer have to install and run Static Code Analyzer locally or on your build server. The packaging utility intelligently sets what were previously manual translation options. Just provide the build file location. No other configuration options are required for build integration. We hope you found this information useful. Thank you so much for watching.